Aida. I'm the founder of Good Night KL by day, and I spin as Aidaho by night.
Hey Zouk Family, welcome back. It's the beginning of a new week, which is my favorite segment of the week, which means we get to meet some of the regional heroes. And seeing that I've been in Malaysia for half a decade, I'm going to put this nation first. I'm talking to one of the most prominent DJs, but also one of the pioneers of nightlife in KL, where we're based. Aida, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very excited to talk to you today because we're not just going to talk about your DJ background, but we're going to talk about your nightlife platform, Good Night KL. And you're also someone who has created something a little bit different for us than what we normally talk about. We've talked about trance, we've talked about psytrance, we've talked about the EDM that most people look to play. But not only do you play techno, but you also have an Emo Night, which is moving into a whole different sphere, which is pretty unique in KL. So can you give me a bit of background to not just yourself, but how Good Night KL and Emo Night came about?
So I started Emo Night back in 2016. I actually got the idea from Singapore because they were doing it, but they had gotten it from Brooklyn. So it had been going around for a while, but it never came to Malaysia. So I went to check it out in Singapore and it was just so much fun. And they weren't DJs, they were just playing the music full on and everyone was just going crazy. And it was just everyone my age singing to songs that we grew up listening to. So I thought it would be great to bring it here in KL because rock is actually really big here. And ever since the first one, it's always been such a big hit and it's grew really fast. So we started off in Arte Bar and then we did Naga Bar and then we went to Kio, but we did the small room first, but that was just packed out. So then we moved it to the main room. And it's really refreshing compared to all these hip hop nights, these EDM nights and stuff, just to have one throwback night where you can get drunk with your friends and sing out loud. And, you know, it's just such a carefree night. And what I love about it is that it's created this community and we try to get everyone involved. So we pass the mic around, we get singers to come on. So it's so much fun.
What I really incentivize people to check out, and we're going to scroll some of the photos through this interview from it, is just look at how much fun people are having. And the nicest part about what I think Emo Night stands for is people just being themselves and they feel comfortable to be themselves. Give us idea of some of the music that you play during the Emo Night.
I play a lot of My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, Good Charlotte, all that stuff. Yeah.
It's very cool. It's stuff that you don't have to be a music snob. You don't have to be a music expert. You just come and it's like, I always imagine it's like you're sitting at home with your friends playing your favorite mixtapes back in the day. So
yes.
Very cool. So, but you also DJ, you're a serious DJ. I hate the term female DJ because why should we differentiate between a guy and a girl? You're one of the prominent techno DJs in KL, which I think is really important for people to understand that you're flying a flag for a music trend that is just taking off on this part of the world. Where I come from in London, it's been predominant for some time, but we look at Circo Loco last year, it's just starting to get some pace together. So give me a bit of background on your DJ life and also how you fell in love with techno.
Okay, I personally don't consider myself a techno DJ because I'm not very strict when it comes to genres. So during my set, I will play funky house, not just strict techno, you know. But what I've noticed is that a lot of people here don't understand the term techno or even house. They get very turned off by it. They think it's very dark, it's very deep. So what I've been pushing with house music is the more, not the commercial stuff, but more the funkier house, the more tech house, which I think is a great introduction for people who are trying to get into that kind of music. It's a bit easier to listen to, and because a lot of people just have this idea that techno is just like this one beat, and like it's not that welcoming to them, especially if they listen to EDM and stuff, which is just like fast drops, and even hip hop, it's very quick cuts. So I play more, I would say, tech house. And a lot of people who never listen to this kind of music, after all my sets, they do tell me like, oh, I didn't know that techno or house was like this.
If you were going to recommend people out there who maybe in our territory are not so used to it, what kind of DJs would you recommend they look up on YouTube to start to get a feeling for that kind of music?
Well, for me, what got me into it was actually Chris Lake. I saw him live in Bali and I just thought he was amazing. So I always recommend Chris Lake, Chris Lorenzo. They have a group together, that Anti-App. I'm sure everyone knows Fisher now, even the EDM fans. He's great. Diplo's new record label, Higher Ground, amazing stuff there as well. I think also the EDM fans will also know Valentino Khan. He is in the middle, but he makes some great stuff. And then the French boys like Chami, Dombresky, the whole Pardon My French crew. That's also a really great introduction.
Yeah, you've touched on some great names there. Chris Lake, obviously old school, but still very current today. I also feel that I went to Bali last year to see Claptone play. That's also a very happy, inclusive house music that you can just dance to. It reminds me a bit, I'm a lot older than you. I still love disco. So the disco funk era that comes into that is really nice. I think it is refreshing. I think you hit a real good nail on the head that house music often gets misclassified as just EDM because people weren't around during Music Sounds Better days or David Morales, or even to a degree the earlier Swedish House Mafia stuff that wasn't so EDM. Yeah. So that's very cool. So what about yourself? What made you one day wake up and say, hey, I want to spin?
Well, it's always been my hobby since I was a child to find new music, and I loved sharing it with my friends. And then just seeing the way they reacted made me feel like the first time I found the song. So it was like a ritual every morning to go on SoundCloud for an hour. And then I moved on to YouTube. I even had like a MySpace time because there was some great music on MySpace as well. And so I think it was just inevitable for me to become a DJ because I just loved finding new music and I just loved sharing it. And my friends would always ask me for recommendations or to make mixes. So it just, yeah.
If you were to send a message to a bedroom DJ or someone who's watching at home who says, hey, I would like to give it a shot, or even more importantly, maybe a young lady who feels a bit shy to give it a try, what words of advice would you give someone to take that punch and say, hey, it's the lockdown, try a new skill, try a new hobby and go for it?
Just the exact same way you said it. We have all this time now. Even I personally have been working on my mixing and stuff. And there's so many resources online. I didn't go to DJ school. I just watched a lot of videos. So that's very helpful. And then it's just having the confidence to then take that on to performing in person. But now that everything's online, I think it'll be so much easier for people to start becoming DJs because you can just turn on your IG Live and start mixing. And that's a great way to just get yourself out there and show everyone what kind of music you like, and just, I think that right now it is a much easier time to get into it.
So I'm gonna make you blush a bit now. So Aida's not just got a great night that she's built and a platform, but you're quite an expert with online material. You were award winner by Clubland KL this year for your efforts with your social media. Tell us a bit more about that and how you went from obviously learning the trade, but now you're pretty much a social media expert. So how did you end up moving into that influencer stage?
Yeah, I was just posting pictures of myself and then people asked to do shoots with me, so I agreed. But I never joined Instagram to be an influencer or anything. And then after doing a few shoots, and brands started approaching me. And then it just became such a great way to make money on the side. But I personally do social media as a job. So I used to do it for Keo and then it was Good Night KL as well. And now I'm still continuing it with another consultancy firm. So it is something that I have actually studied and been able to put into practice for myself as well.
It's important because I think the whole world, you look at what Zouk's doing now, we're doing 21 videos a week, we're reaching out globally. During this time when all businesses have been shut for whatever period of time each individual business has, going digital is very important, and it's a very important step, and it's something that you're ahead of a lot of people on. Is that any advice to people who are looking at, maybe they're panicking because they had a certain style of life before and that's been forced to change to an online platform? How can people go about studying it? What do you recommend people do to read up to learn a bit more about how to use e-commerce or these platforms to benefit themselves?
Well, now with everything that's going on, there's actually been a huge surge on Instagram of people giving out free information. Like they're proper marketing experts and stuff who've branded themselves as consultants on Instagram, and they have these amazing infographics and slides that really break down information for you. So there definitely is it's all about community right now. So everyone is helping each other, so it's not too hard to find help or even ask for help because people are more willing to give it now. Also, as a business going online or even like a club, it's all about community right now and just making sure that your customers, even though you're not physically serving them, that you're still there. That's why like Zouk's doing a great job. You guys are doing all these videos, workout and stuff like that. And then Clubland's doing great stuff as well. Like you said, mentioning food. And also Blink, that's it, that Epic Music, which is a streaming platform. And that's also a great initiative for not only music fans, but DJs as well. So it's just all about what you can do to serve not just your customers, but your community as well. And I think that's the most important thing to think about when going online.
I think you sent a really strong message there, Aida, that is very important at a time like now, not only when the virus is bringing us apart, but then you see things that are happening in America which are causing friction. That community is really, really, really important. And I've been based in Malaysia now for half a decade, and I feel it's one of the strongest communities around. And even though myself, Keo, Zouk KL, all these different places might be closed, we still communicate as one to try and hope that we can all open at a certain stage and stay in touch. That's a pretty awesome message. Thank you. Finally, before we go, we want to get to know you a little bit better, the people who don't know you so well. So I'm going to quick fire you some questions. First of all, who would you identify as your strongest music inspiration?
I think it was, even though I don't listen to music as much now, but Bloom really got me into music.
Who's your dream collaboration?
Ooh, at the moment, it would have to be Born Dirty.
And if you're going to make a track, what style will it be?
Tech house, for sure.
Now, moving slightly outside of music, what's your hobbies in your free time?
Ooh. I think because I'm a DJ, my hobby would be just finding new music.
Any tracks you recommend right now for people to check out? Any new tracks that have just come out? I'll make it an easier question. What are you listening to when you clean the house?
What am I listening to? I listen to Solomon.
Very good choice.
Very chill.
If I listened to Solomon when I was cleaning the house, I would forget to clean the house. I'd be too chilled to such a thing. So Southeast Asia, amazing collection of different cuisines. Everyone loves Southeast Asian food. It's probably Malaysia. I would be super controversial and say best food in the world. Are you a home cooked food person or a takeaway person?
I can't cook, so I'm a takeaway person.
Very good to see. So what's your favorite Malaysian dish?
Nasi lemak, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Very good. Very good. Very unhealthy, but very good. And so my last question to you is, someone comes to visit KL, you're going to take them out today. Solomon comes to visit. Where do you take him and what do you show him?
I'm definitely taking for some food. I don't want to be cliche and say Jalan Alor, but
Straight for the chicken wings. I know that was my first dish when I moved to KL. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Jalan Alor is not a bad option. I still go to this day. 5 years later, it's a perfect choice.
Every DJ goes there.
So
I guess I'll take him there.
Let me ask you this. What's coming up for you? Obviously, it's a tricky time right now. We don't know what's happening with the outlets. But over the rest of 2020, what can we expect from your side? Are you going to start doing your own tracks? Are you hopefully going to reopen some of your nights? What's next for Aida?
Definitely, we're going to bring back Good Night KL to adapt to the current situation. We were in the midst of creating a web app and we were going to launch, but then this whole MCO started and that relied heavily on the nightlife scene. So we had to pull that back, but we have been coming up with new ways to bring the nightlife experience online. So I'm looking forward to launching that over the next few months. No new track, but I am going to start looking into playing more live performances. I played my first proper one the other day, and even though it was so nerve-wracking because completely different experience now that people aren't dancing and getting drunk. They're just sitting there and watching your every move. So that's definitely something I'm going to adapt to, and more collaborations coming up because there are some people doing some great things, like I said. And yeah, I think that if we all just work together, that we can really create a great online nightlife experience for KL. Because I think this is going to last for quite a while. So I think that, yeah.
In the spirit of community, anyone you want to give a shout out to? Anyone you recommend people check out?
Clubland KL. So shout out to their son.
Any other DJs in the community? Like, for instance, we've spoken to Queen T already. We know Jess Mystery is an awesome female DJ as well. Anyone you want to give a voice to at the moment? You say go and check out the work they're doing.
Saturday Selects. They're doing a great job of pushing different genres here in KL. They've always been very dedicated to that. So I think everyone should check them out. They have some really interesting genres, and just go listen with an open mind. One of their artists, Dahlia, is really good to check out. He's killed it so many times at Kyo, so I would like to give them a shout out.
Hey, that's great stuff. Aida, first things, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We really appreciate getting a chance to catch up with you. Second thing, thanks for all the amazing stuff you've done for our community with regards to Good Night KL, with regards to Emo Night, and we can't wait to see what else you've got coming up next. It's definitely unique, it's definitely creative, and it's definitely standing out to give multiple people an opportunity to get into the kind of music that you and I are into, but also giving them a chance to educate as well. If people want to reach out to you, they want to pick your brains, they want to ask you questions, they want to find out more about the nights you go, where can they find you online?
You guys can ask me questions on Instagram at Aida Azrin, and I'll be more than willing to answer them.
Well, thanks so much, Aida. We've got a mix coming up for you straight after this, which we can't wait for. And on top of that, we hope to speak to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take care.
Bye. You too.